There's a mountain biking town in rural Arkansas that people talk about like it's heaven on earth. A place called Bentonville built one of the most incredible mountain bike trail systems in the world. And now, it's being held up as a model for every town to follow. People are calling it a blueprint. Build world-class trails, attract riders, and boost your economy. Sounds simple, right? But here's the thing no one wants to say out loud. Bentonville isn't a blueprint, it's an illusion. This didn't happen because the town had a strong biking community or an epic landscape that made it easy. It happened because a billionaire decided they liked mountain biking. Over $70 million was poured into this trail system, not by the city, not by the taxpayers, but by a private foundation with more money than most states. So why do so many still believe they can copy this? Because Bentonville makes it look like it can be copied. The trails are public and the whole system is extremely polished. And the story feels like it came from a grassroots movement. And once you understand the perfect storm needed to create it, you'll see why copying Bentonville isn't possible. Spend 5 minutes on mountain biking YouTube and you'll hear it. Bentonville is the biking capital of the world, they say. A small town in Arkansas that somehow built a trail system good enough to rival Moab. The story practically markets itself. A sleepy town with zero riding becomes a bike utopia, and fast. Flow trails right next to downtown, paved paths linking neighborhoods to bike parks, pump tracks next to playgrounds, and all of it free and open to anyone. So naturally, people start asking, why can't we do that where I live? On paper, the Bentonville model looks simple. Build trails to entice riders and boost local business. Rinse and repeat in the next town. That idea is common to hear now. Trail associations use the idea to pitch new trails. Cyclists everywhere point to it like a proof of concept. If they did it, we can too. But that's the trap. Because Bentonville's trail network isn't just impressive, it's also deceptive. It gives the illusion of being grassroots, easy to replicate and scalable nationwide, but it's not. The trails weren't bootstrapped by passionate local volunteers with shovels. They were bankrolled by the Walton family. Yes, those Waltons, the billionaire heirs to the Walmart fortune. The ones who decided they liked mountain biking and built a playground open to the public. People with the kind of influence they have, especially in a town they practically built, makes the whole process pretty easy. They didn't have to wait on lengthy public land approvals or scrape together grants. They got fast approval, then hired world-class builders. The family's foundation poured a staggering $74 million into the idea in just a decade. The kind of money they have moves fast and cuts red tape quickly. Sure, a small town like theirs is easier to build in, but most places aren't like that. This type of money and influence turns empty lots into berms, drops, and flow lines practically overnight. And here's the underlying truth to the whole point of this. Unless your town has a mountain biking billionaire with an open checkbook, you're not following a blueprint, you're hoping for a miracle. Because what Bentonville has isn't just a trail system, it's a total anomaly. The kind of system that only exists when philanthropy, corporate influence, and passion collide. So yes, it looks like a model worth copying. But for most places, the Bentonville dream is just that, a dream. And believing otherwise sets communities up for frustration, not success. The question isn't, why don't more towns build what Bentonville built? The question is, how many towns even could? To further prove my point, if Bentonville was a real blueprint, we'd already see more towns following it, but we don't. Because once you strip away the PR and dig into the logistics, it becomes obvious. Most places just aren't built or funded well enough for the scale of what Bentonville pulled off. Let's start with average small towns. These are the places that want to believe in the Bentonville dream the most. They're desperate for economic boosts, outdoor tourism, and a new identity. Especially in an age where factories are shutting down and people are moving away. But they face brutal limitations. First, the land. Bentonville had land available for this development. In most towns, that land is already taken by neighborhoods, farms, or private property owners who don't want jump lines next to their backyards. And even if a town has green space, it's often fragmented. It's not one big plot, but small scattered parks or forests with difficult access far from town centers. The brutal reality, in most places you can't just draw a loop on a map and start digging. Now, let's talk about that funding again. Like I said, Bentonville trails weren't built on bake sales. They had a luxury most towns can only dream of. Philanthropic money with no return on investment strings. And let's be honest, trail systems cost real money. A professionally built, sustainable trail with even a fraction of the cool factor will run into the hundreds of thousands. Most small towns don't have that kind of money, and the grants they do apply for are competitive. Not to mention, they are often competing with things that have far more public appeal to the average person. Okay, so what if your town isn't rural? Maybe it's a big city. Wouldn't that make it easier? Well, not really. In cities, you run into a different set of problems: congestion, politics, and planning bureaucracy. Then you realize the land is even more expensive. The not in my backyard resistance is also even stronger. And good luck carving out even a 1-mile trail in the middle of a metro area without running into zoning codes, community boards, and legal headaches. Plus, there's the issue of urban sprawl. Part of what makes Bentonville's system so special is that it's interconnected. Trails don't just exist, they flow from nearby neighborhoods to downtown to bike parks and to businesses. That kind of cohesion takes serious planning and years of work. Most cities weren't designed with that kind of layout in mind. You can't just bulldoze through town and close down main streets. And this is at the core truth of what people miss. Bentonville works because it had everything: money, available land, vision, and zero resistance. That's not a formula, it's a jackpot. And don't get me wrong, I am really happy a place like Bentonville exists, but I am trying to be realistic here. Even if you had the money, the land, and the master plan, there's still one more thing Bentonville had that most towns won't: alignment. And I'm not just using that term in the annoying way your boss does. Everyone in Bentonville, from City Hall to the old man down the street, more or less got on board. When the trails started going in, the town population didn't fight back. In fact, they leaned into it. Most places will hit resistance from local pushback, but not here. Because when the Waltons made your town what it is, well, people tend to trust the vision. And credit where credit is due, this wasn't a hostile takeover. The Walton family didn't bulldoze buildings and farmland then say you're welcome. They rolled out one trail and it was loved almost universally. Then they rolled out trails that connected neighborhoods, supported schools, and brought real value to the locals. Bike access improved everyday life. So it's no surprise people supported it. And even when 90,000 bike tourists started pouring in each year, locals didn't revolt. There's no documented backlash, no cultural war, just a quiet adaptation to the new identity. But that doesn't mean nothing's changed. The Bentonville of today looks very different from the one many of the locals grew up with. There are boutique hotels, fancy restaurants, and a new crop of Patagonia-wearing transplants. And while that shift hasn't caused open conflict, it has subtly reshaped who the town is for, and a lot of places won't stand for things like loads of new people with different ideas showing up. And that brings us to the part most people miss. This wasn't just about building trails for fun. This also at some point became about recruiting talent. Walmart, the largest private employer in the world, needs to bring smart people to Bentonville. But that's not easy to pitch when you're competing with Austin, Seattle, or San Francisco. So instead of offering bigger salaries, they offered something else: a lifestyle. Among the world-class trails, they have walkable neighborhoods, coffee shops, and yoga studios. And yeah, that's not unique to Bentonville, but it is unique to any small town. The idea was so simple: if you can't make Arkansas feel like a big city, then make it offer what a big city can't: balance, affordability, and space to breathe. It's a smart strategy, and it is working. But not everyone is going to fit in. Some newcomers will stay a year, then leave, creating an endless cycle of newcomers. Yet, no one's trying to stop it, because when Walmart creates the transformation, and the town gets cleaner, richer, and more livable in return, people put up with things like that without a second thought. And maybe that's the most Bentonville thing of all: a town shaped not by protest, but by permission. A permission to share a mutual love for the outdoors, even if they don't know you. And that truly is awesome to see, but most places aren't like this, and even small change will come with major pushback. At this point, you may be thinking, okay, I get it, this is a really unique situation and almost impossible to replicate. But the trails are amazing, and tourism money makes people see dollar signs. That should be enough to make a town like this work anywhere. And on paper, kinda. Great trails should equal great turnout. I would love for the world to work that way, especially since I'd be hitting these trails more than once every few years. But even the crowds flocking to Bentonville aren't just here for the riding. They're also here for the escape. Another not so obvious factor is location. Bentonville sits in this strange sweet spot. It's right there in the middle of the country. That gives it a major advantage. because it feels far from home, but not impossible to reach. If you're in Dallas, Nashville, St. Louis, or Atlanta, it's a road trip. If you're on the East Coast or even places like Denver or Phoenix, it's a reasonable flight. It's just far enough that it feels like a destination, but not so far that it feels like a huge hassle. And that matters because the vacation matters. And vacation is just as much a feeling as it is time off. When people plan a trip to Bentonville, they're not squeezing in a few laps after work. They're loading up the car, booking an Airbnb, and dropping real money on food, drinks, and gear. They show up for the full experience, not just the trails, but the culture and the rest too. Compare that to your small local bike park 2 towns over. Even if it is amazing, it'll never have the same psychological pull. It's too close. There aren't as many trails, and most importantly, you won't dream about it the same. You will keep thinking, I'm busy, I'll just go next weekend. That emotional distance will always make the difference. Bentonville has built itself into a true destination. It's not just where you ride, it's where you go to reset, recharge, and reimagine. Other towns can build the trails too, and others will even beat the elevation and give momentary thrills. But unless they're far enough away and the entire package desirable enough to spend days riding while still getting a vacation feel, well, you're not replicating Bentonville anytime soon. Bentonville is incredible, there's no other way to say it. Don't get me wrong here, they have built a paradise for people who love the outdoors. And I am not opposed to making this happen elsewhere. The trails are world class, the experience is polished, the transformation is inspiring. But let's just be honest, it's not a blueprint. It's an outlier, a perfect storm of money, influence, geography, and timing. You can't just copy-paste that into a random town and expect the same result. That doesn't mean we shouldn't build trails or dream big, but it does mean we need to be honest about the model we're pointing to. And if we can make this happen anywhere else, you can bet I will be the first to support it. But the next time you hear someone say, let's build the next Bentonville, you can get excited, just remember what it really takes to make it happen. Bentonville isn't a blueprint, it's a one-of-a-kind, one-in-a-million-year situation. And if you're lucky enough to have that perfect storm show up in your town, jump on it. If you'd like to support our content and rep some awesome gear, check out the Outdoor Origins store. You can find the link in the description below. Every purchase helps us continue creating high quality content for you, and we truly appreciate the support. If you like this video, click the next one showing on the screen right now to keep watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for being a part of the Outdoor Origins community, and we'll see you in the next one.